Was there any moment in that where did you just knew you had something like in your gut? You were still young. Was it the mentality like you're young? There was like no hesitation. You're like, this is going to happen. I already could see it. Or were there dark moments in that journey, even though it happened so fast where you were like, I don't know, what am I doing? I need to go to school for accounting or something,
Yeah, no, there was it never felt like an overnight success, even though it might have seemed that way from the outside. When you're young, time stretches out longer than it does when you're older. So the few years that it took for us to get out there with any kind of level of success took a lot of work. But it was, I think when we were playing bars, I remember one night me and Scott Stapp got on, it was an open mic night, and I was playing with local musicians in Tallahassee trying to find whatever bands I could. Because when I grew up, I was in a band in Detroit when I was in 7th, 8th grade, and we went recorded at a professional studio, and it's one of the most fun times of my life. And then my parents moved me down to Florida, and nobody in my school played an instrument. So I had nothing to do until I got to college. So I went to college, I ran out and met everybody I could, played open mic nights. And when Scott Stapp moved to Tallahassee, we got together and did an open mic night at a place called Yanni's. And throughout the rest of the night, everybody's just drinking and partying while bands are playing. But when we got up there, the whole place just stopped and stood slack-jawed at Scott's voice in Tallahassee was just amazing. It was something that you don't just see popping through a college town too often. So when we played, the whole place stopped to listen, and we're like, we got something here. And then we saved up to record some demos, and actually those demos became the actual album. We just remixed it. So the professional record that we put out was just the demos that we recorded with the money that I earned at Chili's, that Scott earned at Ruby Tuesdays, and Scott Phillips worked at a knife store. So he knows a lot about samurai swords and knives. And Brian Marshall was the lucky one. His parents were pretty well off and put him through college. So he didn't really, I don't think he had to work a side job. So we saved up our money, recorded this album. I think it cost us about $4,000 to do it. Back then, that's a monstrous amount of money. And then it became what it is now. And thank God we put in the hard work. So, because when we put out the first single, back to the question of, did I know there was a certain time when we were going to make it or not? We were at a place called Floyd's Music Store where we would play weekly for maybe 50 to 100 people of our friends there. And then our single got on the radio. It quickly became the top requested song in the city, And I remember sitting at the bar before a show, and this older gentleman comes in and he's like, "Have you heard this band Creed before?" I was like, "Well, I'm actually in the band." He's like, "Well, you better go backstage because there's a line a mile long outside the building." And my heart rate just shot up. I went backstage and I kept on peeking out of the door, and the place was shoulder to shoulder packed. You couldn't squeeze another person in there. And I think I threw up backstage. I was not the confident guy on stage that I've grown to become. It was a very nerve-wracking thing. But after that night, I think we knew we had something happening.